How are y'all doing on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon? I hope y'all are doing well. Man, that was supposed to fade. It just ended on the chop like that. The chop is not fun. I don't want things ending on the chop. How are y'all doing today? Where are you watching from? How are you feeling? How has this week been treating you? Man, we got some exciting stuff to talk about today. Today we're talking about purpose. Today, we're talking about purpose, and I think this one is going to be a really strong conversation. I do have a few announcements before we jump into things. Of course, as you're coming in, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know why you like this vibe and what brought you to this conversation, and get ready for it. All right, so let's start here. Tomorrow, I have a really exciting conversation taking place on this channel. I'm going to be interviewing sitting down and talking with a brother by the name of Christian Smith out of Georgia. And right now, Christian is someone who deconstructed traditional religion. He now identifies as a spiritual humanist and is leading a community in Georgia of atheists, agnostics, believers, and people of various different faiths alike. So I'm very interested to learn more about him, his journey, the work that he's doing. And his real strong focus on helping people deconstruct harmful theologies and learn how to love themselves. And then from a Bridge City perspective, man, this Friday night, we've started doing these new things on Bridge City called Small Talks, and different people in our community host these small talks where they talk about things that are important to them or that matter to them, and it's really cool conversation. So I'm hosting a small talk on Friday on the Bridge City campus, and mine is going to be about leadership. So if you've ever been interested in leadership, you might want to check that out. And then this is something I'm going to do a little differently today. Before jumping into our conversation today, I want to share something with you that we just launched this past Sunday, which we launched two things this past Sunday. One of them was Coffee Hour, which, oh my goodness, I don't know if anybody out there watching attended Coffee Hour this past Sunday, but how incredible was that? And we're going to be piloting that for the whole month of July, where after our Sunday sessions, we're going to be getting a group live together with everybody who wants to and just hanging out, having a conversation after the topic. But another thing that was really exciting is we had the debut of one of our first major collaborative projects between several different clubs and teams in our community. So we had the arts club, the music club, and the production club, which also were the social arts team and the multimedia team. They got together to put together this really cool project for our new Sunday session series, which was Headcanon. And so I want to share it with y'all. Do y'all mind if I share that with you today? Do y'all want to see what this kind of looks like? What's up, Jude? Do y'all want to see what this kind of looks like? I'm going to share it anyway because I plan to share it, and I thought this would be really cool for those of you who did not get to see it. Welcome in, Hidden Beauty. So again, this is something that came from the arts club, the production club, the music club, from our director of social arts and our director of multimedia. They all collaborated to bring this wonderful masterpiece of a project together. Please let me know how you enjoy this because, damn it, I love it.
In a world full of irrational thinking and echo chambers, only the bridge builders can save the day, bringing us back to a shared reality based on truth and connection. Meet Fast Forward, bringing the future now. Meet Whimsy, fluttering to make new connections. And meet Affirmaman. Wait, is this really this guy's name? Really? Well, all right. Meet Affirmaman, doing whatever it is Affirmaman does. Together, they are the Bridge Builders.
You and me can rise above the phony and be free. When you lose your story, look to the bridge builders, where Dogmatron hides. Bridge builders fight. Your story is yours to write. Building and you and me can rise above the phony and be free. Living the life you choose. Don't be afraid to lose when misinformation and algorithm attack. Bridge builders got your back. Together we can do it. Building shared reality is better than a fantasy. So you and you and you and me can rise above the phony and be free. Your power's always been within. You have the strength to fight and win. There was never a such thing as sin. Why wait for your life to Building shared reality is better than a fantasy. So you and you and you and me can rise above the phony and be free.
I really hate that I had to play that as a YouTube video. Where am I at? Oh, you can't see me. You can hear me, but you can't see me. I really hate that I had to play that as a YouTube video because you couldn't see the team all lined up at the end. But wasn't that incredible, man? I'm super duper proud of like the projects that our community has been able to pull together. It's just incredible. Once that inspiration starts, inspiration and creativity starts flowing, all types of things start happening. Well, are y'all ready to have this conversation today? Today, we're talking about how to find your purpose. And I'm very interested. I am curious. Where are you when it comes to your purpose? What do you feel about purpose as of now? How do you define purpose for you? Did purpose completely go out of the window for you when you stopped believing? Where do you land on purpose now? I love to see your answers in the chat if you're watching now. And of course, if you're watching later, you can always put your answers in the comments. But no, what does purpose mean to you? Like when you think of purpose, because I know for so many people, not everybody, but for so many people, purpose is something external. Purpose is something that existed in this world where there was a great designer, a great orchestrator, a great playmaker, if you will, who had these thoughts and plans for you, thoughts of good and to prosper you. And if you found, that will, if you found that plan, then that was your purpose. That was kind of like a cheat code to purpose, then because you could just knock on the big guy's door upstairs and just be like, hey, what's my purpose? And he'd just be like, well, if you pray enough, I'll tell you. Or if you give enough, I'll tell you, or, you serve the right people enough, I'll tell you your purpose. But how do you define purpose outside of that? Now, for those of you who are no longer living according to just superstitious intuition, how do you define purpose? What is purpose for you? Now, in full disclosure, this conversation comes from a Sunday session series that we did back in 2024. And the name of that series was Drive. And I think I have that definition in my banners, and I do. So I want to show that. This is the definition that we used for Drive when we went into it. And I wanted to start this conversation with this because I think it's going to be helpful to platform it. And that is the internal motivation to achieve a goal and the action and commitment that keeps a person moving forward, even when motivation wanes. And so we were doing this series, this conversation, if you will, on Drive. And through that, we talked about motivation. We talked about ambition. we talked about persistence, but then the last aspect of it was purpose. And the way we platformed the conversation were that these were all components of drive. That motivation, ambition, persistence, and purpose were kind of like four possible components of drive, of what is driving you, of that, what is that internal motivation to achieve your goals, or the action and the commitment that keeps a person moving forward even when the motivation wanes. So we started with motivation, and motivation is like, when you think about that, I always like using the old thespian adage where the actor comes in and they're giving them a new character to play, and they're looking over the character, and then they stop and ask the director, what's my motivation? You know, and I think now, this is just me. Now, y'all know how I do things around here. You ain't got to think it just because I think it. But I think that's kind of where purpose starts. Purpose starts with what's the motivation for my character? You know what I'm saying? Like, as a person who develops fictional worlds, and like when I'm developing my characters, I have to think about like what motivates this character to act, what motivates this character to do, what motivates this character to want to achieve, what makes this character to want to do something. What's that internal motivation? Now, the big thing is, the goal of this series was really just to explore ways of shifting from being driven by our circumstances to being the drivers of change that we want to see in the world. And honestly, what better time to be bringing this conversation back around? Because like over the past decade, I've become convinced that most people are so disconnected from their capacity to do that they often sit on the sidelines, becoming bystanders of their own lives. But we're not building community because we want to stand by. We're building community because we're encouraging every single person who can to stand up. You know, my highest hope is that somebody finds the motivation, the ambition, the persistence, and the purpose to assign something to themselves, you know, and to shift into drive. Motivation may get you in the car, but it's your sense of purpose that keeps you in the driver's seat. I'm gonna say that one more time. Motivation may get you in the car, but it's your sense of purpose that gets you into the driver's seat. It's that keeps you into the drive, that keeps you in the driver's seat. It's your sense of purpose that's like, nah, I think this is what I want to be doing. I think this is like when we use this word purpose, it was like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. We used to say stuff like, I think this is where I'm supposed to be. I think this is what I should be doing. And so a part of the work that I want to do in life is help people kind of retain that language, but now grounded in reality. Like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, not because someone set this up for me to do, not because someone dealt this and wrote this in the stars. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing because this is the thing that makes me come alive, type of thing. And that's the thing I kind of want to help people connect to. So again, motivation starts that process. You know, what gets me up in the morning? Why am I showing up? But it's my purpose, my sense of feeling like, no, I think I belong here. I think I'm really good at this. Like, it's not that I don't think nobody is better than me, but I just think the way that it's purpose that kind of produces that thing where it's not even a comparison against you and others. It's just a knowing that, no, this is good. Purpose is almost like I'm good where I am. I'm good at what I'm doing. And so I think many people who are struggling with that, that's what they're trying to tell. That's what they're trying to tell the rest of the world. When people are saying, I'm struggling to find my purpose, when people say I'm struggling to find out what I should be doing, they're not always saying I'm struggling to figure out what some deity in the clouds wants me to be doing in my life. What they're saying is, I'm struggling with doing something in my life that makes me good. Ooh, have you ever been doing something with your life that made a whole lot of sense to everybody else around you, but made no sense to you? And that's where that disconnect comes from. And it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're doing isn't purposeful. It just means you're not connected to it. And that's why major reason why Bridge City exists is to help people connect better, build better. Why? So that they can live better. Okay. So on one hand, we are talking about the importance and significance of personal drive, which is a motivation and commitment to be your best self and to do your best work. But we're also talking about a collective drive, motivation and commitment to connect your best self and your best work to the progress of the world around you. I was just in a meeting right before this and had to cut it short a little bit, but I was really excited about being in the meeting. But one of the things that came out is we were both just noticing because they were explaining to me that, and Jude, you might have to connect me on the numbers, right? You might have to connect me on the numbers, but I think they were saying because it was someone with the Humanist of Canada podcast, but they were saying that in Canada from 2001 to 2021, that the percentage of non-religious people, or it could have been more, stricter than that, non-believers, but the percentage of people who did not believe grew from like maybe 13 or 17% to about 30 something percent. But then what the person was noticing that they were sharing with me is that secular organizations did not experience that same shift and increase. And so, yes, while there are some people who leave their religion and find community, there are some people who leave their political cults or doctrines or silos and can find community, there are increasing amount there's an increasing number of those who either cannot find community or choose to, and watch this, I'm not even just saying, it's not cannot find community and can find community. It's cannot find community. There are those who cannot find community, and there are those who choose not to connect to community. You know what I'm saying? They go to church are often only going to keep their parents happy, for sure, for dang sure. And so, one of the things that happened, one of the comments that came out of that is what sometimes happen, and this is, it's socially acceptable. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying if we don't watch the trend, we might shoot ourselves in the foot. What happens for some in the absence of community, especially in the absence of community that is vital, in the absence of community that actually brings something to your life, and not just keeps a bill at your door and tells you the fights that it's fighting, but something that's vital for you, that you're excited to participate in, and that's bigger than just one area of cause or one area of life, then this is about to get good. So some people, because they can't find that, their life becomes, well, I just don't need it, right? And so what happens is, and this is what this person was sharing with me, what happens is for some, and of course we know this is not for everybody, it is just for some people. My beard is aggravating me a little bit, so I'm gonna do this. But for some, what happens for some is they just decide to disconnect. Like, I'm just gonna, at this moment, I'm just gonna focus on me and my family. And that's, and I want to be very clear, that's absolutely legitimate. Man, shoot, especially if you done spent all your life chasing after somebody else's organization and doing all this stuff. I get it. I'm just gonna focus on me and my family. I ain't mad at you. The problem is we can't all be hobbyists while the world is burning down, though. Like if we're all gonna look around and just be like, hey, things are falling apart, things are getting worse, things are, there's a loneliness epidemic, then we can't all be hobbyists. There has to be some lobbyists out here too. You hear me? Like, no, we can't all just go home and just say, you know what, from now on, I think I'm just gonna go fishing every day. No, for somebody, man, that's beautiful. And again, for anybody who's making that decision, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, but you just make sure you let your friends know, hey, like, all of us can't do this now. Somebody has to be out there building infrastructure to replace the infrastructure that is not out there, or to at the very most to give people a safe space from the damage that's coming. Like it'd be so cool to see people like be like, oh yeah, things are getting bad. Fuck around and find out things are getting bad. And I'm like, I don't understand how that's a flex, being able to tell people that a storm is coming if you're not a person who knows how to build a boat. I don't want to be the person that just knows that things are going to get bad. I want to be the person that knows what to do to mitigate it. All right. So again, we can't all be hobbyists while the world is burning down. And that's one of the reasons why I think conversations about purpose is so important, because so many people have trapped their purpose into somebody else's inclination or to some, deity's design, instead of engaging it in themselves and saying, hey, what do I want to do within my life? What do I see as my best self? What would I consider to be my best work? And how can I connect that best work to the progress of the world that I share with so many others? It is within this context, against the backdrop of the recent global political climate, that we can soberly consider how necessary it is to get off the sidelines. Now, if we were sitting in the same room together, I promise you, I would be really preacher right here. Like, I go real preacherly like, and I'd be like, go ahead and tap your neighbor and say, he talking to you. Get off the sidelines, right? We need to be critically aware. Now, this is as a global society. We need to be critically aware that anything that has happened and anything that will happen is happening under our watch. Hey, listen, if you're alive right now, you're breathing, and you got breath in your lungs, you got sight in your eyes, you got hearing in your ears, your hands can move. Listen to me. I need you to be critically aware that anything that has happened and anything that will happen is happening under our watch. That's why we can't all be hobbyists while the world is burning down. Do we want to be the type of people who say we saw it happen, or the type of people who can boldly declare that, hey, we did something about that? Oh, this is good, man. Ooh, come on now. See, this is why I love having Jude in the chat. Say it. When someone starts doomsaying, my first question has become, are they going to do something, or do they just like feeling smug? Come on now. And you are so right. Like, y'all gonna keep me in the chat. Y'all gonna keep me in the chat. They don't even realize they are being smug when they do it most of the times. Well, like that's, I think I've shared that story before. Like, I was sitting with my friends, and I love my friends. My friends are some of the coolest people in the world. They're some of the most creative people out there in the world. But at one point, we were hanging out a lot lately, and then they were talking about aliens, like all of the time that we were hanging out. Like, they were like, aliens done took over the government. And I'm like, man, this is very interesting. They're like, yeah, they done found aliens here, the aliens here, and these aliens, they got this plan that they trying to do this, they're trying to do this. And I'm like, okay, now what exactly is your role in all of this? Are you really signing up to be the person that when the aliens finally enact their evil plans and enslave all of humanity, you just want to be the human slaves who said you saw it first? Dude, aim higher. You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. Who can tell me what movie that's from? But like, yeah, like at some point, and it's not, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. Like, I get it. I like to mentally masturbate over stuff too. Like, as a creative, like, my mind can go there, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with you for maybe an hour or so and go there. But after that, I'm like, listen, now, if none of us are planning up to sign up to be the alien Avengers, I don't know why this is our conversation. All right, so let me get back to it. But no, in psychology, the bystander effect is a social psychological theory that describes how people are less likely to act when others are present. And the bystander effect is one of those things that has impacted my life very seriously. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I pay real close attention to it. And I'll probably say a part of that is bias, because it has so impacted my life, that I now kind of see bystander effect everywhere. Just like, oh, that's bystander. And so sometimes, even when I'm looking at, again, this global political climate, it's like, I think we've kind of been farmed as a species into being really good at being bystanders. We really good at it. And then because honestly, and I can't speak for everybody's religious experience, and I'll do my best to not try to. But for many people, church's version of purpose was often just a bystander position. Like, many times the thing that people found their purpose alien Avengers unite. You know what I'm saying? That many people, when they find their purpose in religious terms, I don't want to say it's useless. I'm not trying to say it's useless, but like my purpose when I was in the kingdom of God, was to do kingdom things, and to lay hands on, like, we use big language, the language big, as thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We're operating in the kingdom. We're operating in kingdom authority. This is big language, but like the kingdom authority language really just kept us in church a lot, and ultimately made us bystanders of what was happening geopolitically, of what was happening economically, even in the local cities that we were a part of. We often became bystanders in the world around us. Like, this is one of the things that broke my heart after 2 decades of following mentors and studying preachers. I came across a professor, Dr. John Henrik Clark, self-educated man, ended up no high school diploma, but ended up becoming a college professor at Huntington University, or Hunter's College is one of them. And he ends up becoming a college professor. But I remember sitting down and listening to this man speak for the first time, almost coming to tears, realizing that how much time of my life I had spent being a bystander by listening to bullshit. That's so good. That's so cold. I got to run it back. That's so cold-blooded. I'm going to run it back. I had to deal with just how much of my life I had spent becoming a bystander by listening to bullshit. Because that's what bullshit does. Bullshit makes you stand by. All right? Somebody put that on the t-shirt. Somebody put that on the t-shirt, And so listening to Dr. Clark talk about history from an academic perspective and not just this emotive perspective. Oh, like my wife would tell you, I sat there and damn near cried because I'm like, what? I wasted my time under pseudo intelligence. And this was out here. This was happening. Okay. So like, I think I think this is one of the reasons I think purpose is necessary, because it's one of those things that helps us get out of the bystander position. And so there are 4 contributing factors that have been identified as roots of this type of phenomena of the bystander effect. And I don't want to say that this is exhaustive in any type of way, but these are 4 that have been identified. And the first one is diffusion of responsibility. And y'all let me know if you feel this or not, if this resonates with you or not. Watch this. Diffusion of responsibility is people may feel less responsible for helping when others are present. I'll sit in that for a moment. In August, we're starting a new series called Sit in It, and we're going to be dealing with emotional avoidance. But I want you to sit in this for a moment, like, because we're talking about the bystander effect, and we're talking about this in the context of purpose. And just to add a little bit more color, the thing that I'm saying is, like, we can't all be just hobbyists while the world is burning down. So we need more people who really do find those things that make them come alive, and then do those things in the world. And so what we're starting with bystander effect, because bystander effect is one of the reasons many people who are not walking in their self-assigned or self-identified purpose, the reason they're not doing so is because they are simply standing by. And so now we want to kind of walk through, why are they standing by? And one of the reasons that they're standing by is diffusion of responsibility. People may feel less responsible for helping when others are present. Exactly. It's the sense of someone else will do something. Or how about this? Okay. I'm coming for the gut. Okay. I'm coming for the gut. How about this one? Someone else is more qualified than me to do something. Come on, breathe in it, man. Just sit in it. Watch. Okay. Let's invert that. I may not be qualified enough to do something. That's that. People may feel less responsible for helping when others are present. It's like, because when you there by yourself, you ain't got time for imposter syndrome. If something's happening and you there by yourself and something happened to somebody in front of you, at that moment, your qualifications don't matter. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Listen, if you're like, when other people are in the room, it allows that imposter syndrome to kick up, right? I probably don't need to be the one to say something. Surely someone's smarter than me. Surely someone's better than me. Sure, someone's more qualified than me. I wrote a poem years ago. I might recite it, called "Fuck It, I'll Do It Myself." And one of the lines in the poem was like, I was waiting for somebody else to sit in that seat, and I guess it has to be me, you know? But so many times when there are more people in the room, that imposter syndrome kicks in and says, surely somebody in this room is more capable than me, because I have a really hard time seeing myself. God, this is good. I got a really hard time seeing myself as helpful. I have a really hard time seeing myself as valuable. I have a really hard time seeing myself as qualified. I have a really hard time seeing myself, shoot, if I just told the truth and be honest, as someone who even belongs in the room. So when I see other people come in the room, I'm like, shoot, they got it. They got it. But now, again, let's take that during Occupy. Oh, I love that. And see, now I want to hear it. We gotta have a slam poetry night. Oh man. So now let's put it in a different environment, because many of us, and this is not to shame anybody. This is humanity. This is our humanity that we have to wrestle with. Many of us, if there's other people in the room, we're gonna wait for them to do it. You're in a restaurant. Imagine you sitting in a restaurant. Somebody starts choking on their food. You're in the restaurant. There's 30 other people in that restaurant. We all have algorithms that our minds begin to run, and your algorithm is running like, out of 1 out of 30, I don't think I need to be the one to intervene. You know what I'm saying? At least let me not speak for you. I'll speak for me. If I'm in that situation and I'm in a restaurant, 30 other people, one person is choking, that person is choking. I've taken a CPR class, but that was like 15, 16, 17 years ago. And so I'm thinking there's 30 other people in here. Surely someone is more qualified than me. And while that might be accurate, can you hear how self-deprecating that is? But now let's flip it a little bit. Let's say there's nobody else in the restaurant. It's just you and one other person in the restaurant. And that one other person starts choking. Now, all of a sudden, your imposter syndrome doesn't matter. Now, all of a sudden, your qualifications doesn't matter. It does not matter if I'm qualified enough to help. I'm here to help. It does not matter if I took the right classes to help. I'm here to help. I'm here, and there's nobody else here. It's a paradigm shift sometimes to see yourself as the only person in the room. And so when you have the benefit of having other people in the room, it makes it easy to sit on yourself. I didn't mean to go this deep, y'all. I promise. But it makes it easier. And the thing is, I want us to find a way to use rooms to shine brighter, not shine less. I want us to find ways to use rooms to become more, not become less. And I think rooms have required, I think rooms have required us to have to fade into the crowd for so long that now becomes the normal response to being in a room. I'm just going to be one of the number. I want to be in the number. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. People may feel less responsible for helping when others are present. Ooh. Jump up for the choking. If someone is flying off the handle, though, I'd look around for anybody else to step in. I love that. Oh, man. Well, yeah, atheist GIF, I think that's what it says. Yeah, that's another end of the spectrum. See, you don't have to jump to the other end of the spectrum. You don't say everybody helps. You say somebody helps. And so I'm gonna give you a great example, atheist GIF, since you kind of gave that example. I don't know if you were, just trying to be smug or not, But it's just such on the other end of the spectrum. But I want to explain to you why that's problematic and why the bystander effect is an issue. And I'll start with how it impacts my life. My grandmother was murdered brutally in front of a public crowd. She was stabbed to death, stabbed over 50 times in front of a public crowd. Yes, many people in that crowd were not qualified to intervene, but I can promise you she would have preferred 30 trying than one person just sitting back. Well, I'm doing the right thing by not getting involved. So no, the point is people finding their purpose, you know? So people may feel less responsible for helping when others are present. And what we're talking about now is that aspect of why we may feel less responsible. And many times it is not about our relationship with responsibility. It's our relationship with our own ability to assist. It's our relationship with our own ability to help. It's our discomfort with seeing ourselves as helpful, which is why it becomes easier for us to descend into our hobbies instead of ascending into our purpose. I'm talking. All right, so that's diffusion of responsibility. Let's go on to number two. Fear of judgment. Fear of judgment. People may be afraid of being judged by others. What if I get up to help and somebody like atheist Jiff is in the room and say, hey, they don't need your help. Let me see your credentials before you help. Some people don't jump in. And again, we're talking about the bystander effect. A bystander effect. Again, atheist Jeff, if you're not familiar with what the bystander effect is, I'd encourage you to get familiar and start there, because that's the context of the conversation, bro. So people may be afraid of being judged by others. And I think I'm going to do this. Bam. People may be afraid of being judged by others. You're afraid that somebody else is going to say, well, no, you're not qualified. Or why do you think you should be the one to step up with this? Because please understand, we're not talking about somebody choking in a restaurant. We're talking about being in a world on fire. We're talking about being in a world where the loneliness pandemic is growing and growing. We're talking about being in a world where people are losing their orientation with life itself. And many of us are standing by, the bystander effect. And what I'm trying to demonstrate is that for many of us that are standing by, it's not always because we're so selfish. It's not always because we're uninterested. It's not always because we don't want to be helpful. See, this is the context. This is the nuance. For some people, and this may not be you, this may not be you, but for some people, the reason they're not helping is because they don't feel like they're qualified to help. The reason some people do not help is because they're afraid that if they try to help, they're going to be attacked by some smug person. Okay? But then there's also ambiguity. There is also ambiguity. And I think this is the big one. People may be unsure of how to respond. People may be unsure of how to respond to a situation. And this is one of my favorite ones, because I think this is the one that religion has done so much damage to us on, is the requirement for certainty. It's feeling like in order for me to make a move forward, I have to know how it's going to help. And so some people get paralyzed by ambiguity. I just don't know what to do. And again, this is about life. This is about how we're showing up in life. Uncertainty used to be my biggest point of procrastination. It used to be my biggest point of not doing anything. Like I didn't publish my first book until 2015. That was the year after I deconverted. I didn't publish my first book until 2015. And it's because I had to get past my fear of how people would receive my work. Man, this is look. Oh man, look at that. Thank you, Shell. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it with the super chat. I'll get the ball rolling. That is so beautiful. Man, I love that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Good Samaritan laws exist. Not 100% sure if that's what they're called in the States, but I know they're equivalent last I checked. Wow. Now that I want to look into that. So people may be unsure of how to respond to a situation. What do I do? Okay, Darante, you're right. The world is burning. Here, man, it's getting pretty bad out here. But I don't know what to do. I get it. And this is what I say to that, because this is what I had to say to myself. You're not going to find out by sitting this one out. You know, the uncertainty part in many cases is a fear of failure. And it's like, what if I try to help and I fail? The odds are forever in your favor that you're going to fail. Like, that's the reality. But what's the quote? There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Being uncertain, I don't want to say is not a flex. I want to say being uncertain is not exceptional. Many people are uncertain. Even the more professional or the more skilled you become at something, it doesn't begin to take away that uncertainty. And in this fourth one, and these are four contributor factors that have been identified at the root of the bystander effect. And last one is social influence. People may be influenced by the inaction of others. Okay. Nobody else is doing anything. You know, maybe something happens and somebody thinks, oh, I'll get up. And then it's, oh, dang, nobody else is getting up. People may be influenced by the inaction of others. Like, I think one of the biggest places we see this at in the States, to help in case things go wrong. Oh, I love that. That is so freaking awesome. Yeah, I like that. But in the States, we have a voting, I don't know, we call it a voting crisis, where, you know, large groups of people are no longer participating or refusing or abstaining from participating in the voting process. There are a lot of varying reasons behind that. But of course, the fear for many people becomes, the more common it becomes for people not to vote, the more common it will be for people to continue not to vote. Because as a social species, and again, we're talking about what contributes to us being bystanders, and not just in the moment, but just actually in our lives. People may be influenced by the inaction of others. Where action is no longer even an expected requirement. Action is not an expected response. This is definitely what kind of gets cultivated in a religious environment. Your actions, I'll speak more for the charismatic folk, your actions get redirected towards God, and then God is going to actually do the physical stuff. You just praise God and you worship him, and then you give him that 10%. And then if you're in a church that goes further than that, then you're going to give your first fruits as well. And he's going to give you a big Sunday offering. And then don't forget about your seed by faith offering. And then God will do the physical. And we can all ha ha laugh about that, because it is quite comical. But then culture kind of trains us to do some very similar things, especially here in the States with government. And it's just like you vote, you show up at the rally, and then the government will take it from here. They'll do the physical stuff. And so then it becomes a social norm that my participation is not a major requirement in the process. So diffusion of responsibility, fear of judgment, ambiguity, and social influence. All four of these factors are issues of a misunderstanding of purpose. And I suspect that much of this stems from our superstitious attachments to authority and divinity, which paints purpose as something that is externally gifted. And so once that begins to happen, we become permission centric. Okay. Yep. We become permission centric. Dang, this is too good because that part is not in my notes. So if other people are present, then they're probably going to do it because I don't have permission to do it. Fear of judgment. I would step up, but I'm afraid somebody may say something. I don't have permission. Ambiguity. People may be unsure. I haven't been permitted to do this. Social influence. I'm looking around and I'm not seeing any verbal clue. I'm not seeing any visual clue that permits me to act. Okay? There is often a discomfort in doing without being assigned to do. There's often a discomfort in doing without being assigned to do. I think there was the book I mentioned to you all a few, maybe 2 months ago called Community that I was reading. I want to say the author's name was Peter Block. One of the things that he mentioned in the book, and I absolutely love, I'm still sitting with it and wrestling with it in my mind for my own community, because the community that I live in, we've had increased gun violence over the past few years. And it's been getting pretty bad. But one of the statements he makes is that crime is not the police's responsibility, it's a community's responsibility. And when we separate that responsibility to just the police, to a minority, then that's when we create an imbalance of power. And that's when we create false expectations. And that's when we give ourselves permission to no longer participate in the safety of our own communities. And I was like, dang, you just said a lot. And I'm sitting with it. I'm chewing on it. That's hard to hear, but that feels like there's some accountability in there. There's often a discomfort in doing without being assigned to do, because we've been a part of a structured society where everybody kind of has an assignment. But in these types of conversations, we're learning how to deal with the discomfort so that we can always be in a position to assign ourselves whatever purpose and task we deem necessary for forward momentum and progression. Years ago, I had a course called Cultivating Authentic Leadership that I started designing after I realized just how many people needed a burning bush experience to do things that were in either their own best interest or in the best interest of others. And I can actually tell you like exactly where that moment came where I started thinking about it. This is when I was pastoring a church called Kingdom Central. It was a church that I planted called Kingdom International Worship Center at first. Then I was like, oh, that name is way too long. We got more letters in our names than we got members. So she ended up changing the name to Kingdom Central. It was something urban, catchy, youthy. And at that time, I was still very youthy. And then our church started to kind of explode in growth, you know? And so I remember we were doing like this. This is one of our first times doing a kind of like what we call a ministry fair. And we were promoting it the weeks leading up to it. And I think maybe like on a Wednesday night, I had sat down like just with our Bible study crew and was talking about the importance. And like I think some of our Bridge City crew will hear some of this from me because we talk about it at Bridge City. But was talking about the still are youthy. Well, thank you, Captain. Was talking about the importance of what I now call member experience. And of course, back then it was, you know, just like the ushers, the greeters, and stuff like that. And we would trying to get our church excited about that. Like, hey, we need ushers and greeters because we're growing, and so the parking lot is getting chaotic, and people are coming in. They're not knowing where to sit. They're not knowing where to go, and that makes people feel uncomfortable. So let's actually behave as if we expected them to be here, that we're prepared for them to be here, and that we're excited about them being here. You know, and so you know, I'd been talking to the team about it for weeks. I had and they had the benefit, like I could do things with them that I can't do with my team now because we're so spread out, but we could travel to places and like take these like vision trips. And I said, okay, look at this and see, this is what I'm kind of talking about. And then we can come back and say, oh, now I get it. Because I definitely realized back then I have a hyper visual mind. And so I can easily get frustrated with people because I'm like, I just don't see how y'all not seeing it. I see it. Why you not seeing it? And it's like, well, I got a really hyper visual mind. I be seeing shit I shouldn't even be seeing sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But so I would have to take them to trips to show them to see what I was talking about in action. Because it's sometimes like they'd be like, that just sounds really goofy. And they used to call me PR back then because my nickname was Darante, Ron. So they called me PR, Pastor Ron. But they're like, PR, when you were saying it sounded really goofy, man. I was like, oh, that's stupid. But bro, when we got there and I was like, this is, oh my goodness. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. But that's often the hard work of leadership, is finding out different ways that people can see things and trying to get it in their language, in their visual language, I guess. And so we do that. And then I get my team really excited about it. And so then on Wednesday night, we're sitting down and we're talking to the whole community about like, hey, we're going to do this. We're really excited about this. And we just need a certain amount of volunteers to sign up and to help us do this. It's really easy. You'd only have to be committing like 15 minutes before, you know, I think it's like 30 minutes before service and 30 minutes after service. And all you're doing is smiling at people and hugging them and holding signs. And we're like, yes, this is so simple. We've done the hard work of thinking through the small things that they'd have to do to do this volunteer commitment. We've broken the volunteer commitment down into like the tiniest time, you know, contributions that we could. And then we're sitting in this Wednesday night Bible study and the whole team is excited and church members looking at us like, what? You know? And so I remember like, oh man, because I was kind of heartbroken back then, which I still go through my emotions. But I was kind of heartbroken. And so I was like, what's going on? And so one of my assistants that took over the conversation, I was just sitting there thinking, and then I said, wait a minute. Hold on. We got to run this back. What's going on, y'all? Why is nobody signing up to do this? And the answer was, and I said all of this to say, I said all this to come back to tell you that I realized how many people needed a burning bush experience to do things that were in their own best interest or in the best interest of others. And this person actually ended up becoming like one of our closest leaders in that church, which of course doesn't exist anymore. But he said, well, Pastor, I hear you, but I just don't know if I feel called to be an usher. And I was like, oh, is that what y'all thought this was? You know, it was just one of those moments where I realized like, oh, you really thought you needed to have some type of special anointing, some type of special calling. Like, nah, bro, this is the volunteer job duty. That's all. This don't take nothing special. You don't need a burning bush experience to agree to hold the door. You know what I'm saying? And we had a big laugh about it, but that did lead to kind of like a breakthrough moment in Kingdom Central's volunteerism, because for so many people that was holding them back. Well, I think I thought that if I was to do this, I'd have to be super qualified. Or that if I had to do this, like I'd have to be like a third generational usher. And I'm like, you gotta be is that even a thing? Are there third generational door holders in 2026? You know, type of thing. But that was a real fear. It was a real barrier. It was a real boundary that people were living with, that people were embodying. I'm glad you made it, Monica. That people were embodying. And like, if we didn't stop to pause, I would have left that meeting thinking like, damn, these folks just don't want to help. And it wasn't that. The majority of them felt like they weren't qualified to help, no matter how small we made the task. Didn't matter. You're asking me to help in something like this, though. And there's a lot of people who depend on this. And so that created anxiety for people. Third generations ushers out there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that should not be a thing. But and so that's how it often works with purpose. I don't think that was just isolated to our little church in Alabama. I think that's how many people approach life. I think that's how many people approach purpose. I often think many times people approach things with the idea of permanence, and that's something that I try to work with people on. Because but what if I sign up to do it and I don't want to do it 3 months from now? And it's like, well, good. Then we would have benefited from having you do it from 3 months, and you would have learned something from doing it for 3 months. But wouldn't that just be disappointing? No, it wouldn't. It's life. It's how you find your purpose. Oh, this is so good. And again, I want to be careful with the word find. I know it's in the title. When I say find it, I mean find it in yourself. You finding what you're good at. You finding what you love. You find what you enjoy. But I think sometimes people get overwhelmed by the idea of permanence. Well, if I say I'm this, I'm going to have to be this forever. And my question is often, why? Well, Darante, if I sign up to help with one of your teams at Bridge City, if I sign up to lead that team, what if a year from now I want to do something different with my life? I'm like, what about you doing this says you can't change your mind in a year? But these are often the unwritten rules we live in. We live with in our heads. Okay, so what if I do sign up to be one of the people who help with member experience, and somebody doesn't like me? That will happen. I can't tell you that won't happen, So I realized just how many people need a burning bush experience to do things that are actually in their own best interest, because sometimes just a good reason isn't good enough. And that's actually something that we're going to be talking about in my small talks, building bridges to better leadership. But I think I may rebuild that course as cultivating authentic living instead of just leadership, because at the end of the day, that's what purpose is. Purpose is a commitment to be as authentic as one can be in the world that they live in. And that authenticity doesn't have to be a permanent fixture. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be who I am every time you see me from now on. This is how I'm choosing to help with my life at this moment. And sometimes even the thing that I'm choosing to help with, isn't even something that I'm especially excited about. It's just I'm excited about the possibility of this bigger thing working. And I know that area is vacant. And if that area is vacant, then this bigger thing won't work. And so I'm more than happy to do the thing that I'm not as excited about doing, as long as I don't have to get stuck here. Dang, I hope this is good. If I change directions later, how miserable will you make my life for leaving? And that's a real concern, because there are places that love to see you come and will destroy you when you go. I was a part of church systems where they literally did that, because it's that, no, if you sign up to do something here, then this is what you're doing forever. And it's like, no, nobody should be able to express or to there's another word I want to use there. Nobody should be able to enforce that level of control over anybody else's future. Like, if we were more organized in Bridge City, which we just don't have our operations arm built yet, but every volunteer assignment would come like with a time gap, time expectation. And it's not to say, hey, you're only doing this for 3 months and then after that off. It's more to say that, hey, it's to send the message that you always have an out. And like, because it's only an open invitation if you can say no. It's only an equal partnership if you can decline participation. And I think the systems we've been a part of have been so authoritative, have been so hierarchical, that sometimes it's even hard to build structure now, because we have to find ways to intentionally do it without replicating the authority and replicating the hierarchy, while still getting the work, done. Which I will say, Jude, that's one thing you've been incredible about. Like, and just for those of you who don't know, Jude is our director of social arts. And she didn't do anything, like, she didn't beat down my door. She didn't like go after Ashley and say, hey, I want this role. I don't even know if she knew that it was an open role or not. She saw the music club, which that is what the music club was designed for. Jude, I don't even know if you know this or not, but the music club was actually meant to be temporary. Not temporary as in we weren't going to be doing music, but temporary as in the music club was going to be the launch space of finding people who were interested in music so we could start building out the music teams. And so it was really just going to be a temporary space, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to lead any of the clubs myself. And so, but we put it up there, and then Jude joined the community, and she was passionate about music. And so she got involved with the music club. And then she was like, I don't see nobody really running this. And Ashley was like, well, that was kind of Darante thing, but if you like it, go for it. And then she was like, I think I kind of like it. And I was like, oh, please do. And she did. And then she started running workshops, music workshops, where they're doing the writing sessions, even did some vocal warm-up sessions. And I'm like, you are already doing the work of a director of social arts just right now. You're already doing that level. You're already doing the work. And so that was just amazing. Amazing. Yes. And like stepped in. What's up, Kyle? I need to get a hold of Bob. Oh man. Okay. I'll let Bob know and I'll see what's going on with Circle. Man. But yes, so it was her thing, and just authentically, and just jumped right in it. And that's kind of what we want. We want people to find the things that make them come alive. But then also, like, and this is what I love about the way our team is developing now. They also sign up to do stuff that they're not as excited about. Like, Jude, I don't know if you were excited about being a chat moderator, like a chat host, but just saw a need and was like, yeah, I think we're going to need that a little bit. That's purpose to me. Purpose isn't knowing what I'm going to do. Oh, this is so good. This is not in my notes. Purpose isn't me knowing what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Purpose is me deciding what I'm going to do with my time every step of the way. It's all my purpose. Sometimes my purpose is going to be to help out in chat. Sometimes my purpose is going to be to lead some music, because it's just me figuring out how to navigate my life. That's right, Captain. I think I can. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, the good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge. Today, as we dive into the concept of purpose, we'll examine how purpose not only drives us individually, but serves as a foundation for long-lasting impact within our community. Purpose at its core refers to the reason or end for which something is done, created, or for which it exists. And I wholeheartedly agree with Russell that when our purposes are inspired by love and guided by knowledge, we find for ourselves a good life and good living. And that's really where my purpose is connected with. Purpose is like, and I'll recap this if I make it to the end of my notes, because at this moment I'm looking at the time. I don't know if I will, but I'll recap this. It's like, am I enjoying the ride? It was Jeremy Bentham who found that nature has placed, mankind under governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. And then from that moral insight, he derived the rule of utility, which many of you are familiar with. And in his viewpoint, that is that the good is whatever brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people. And he defined the meaning of life as the greatest happiness principle. And I love that. I don't know how we get there, but I'm trying. I'm experimenting. Like, how do we, whatever brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people? And I think that's why we're talking about purpose today. Because like when you're when you're engaged with something that you identify as your purpose, there are things that would not have made you happy before, but that now begin to make you happy. Like there are mundane tasks that get tied to purpose. Okay. Editing videos does not make me happy, but producing content that helps people maneuver through life, that makes me happy. And so even though editing is not a happy place for me, the fact that I'm editing in service to my content, okay, you catching me now? That's purpose. You got that absolutely right, the Wayfinder. Purpose is deciding what I'm going to do with my time. And my life is the sum of what I've done with my time. You know? So, key questions to explore when dealing with purpose. And watch this. This is where I'm going to start at. Why are we here? And so let's individualize it. Or why am I here? This question goes beyond the philosophical. It encourages personal reflection on what each of us want to achieve, both for ourselves and for those around us. This is more helpful than why do we exist? It encourages an exploration of what could be instead of never-ending search for what should be. And I find it to be really helpful against the backdrop of challenging situations. When things aren't working right, I often challenge myself with this question: why am I here? As in, like, what can I do about it? Like, why am I here? It's not a judgmental question. It's not like, oh, why am I here again? That's not literally. Why am I here? You know, I think sometimes I've even asked it like this: how did I get here? I'm glad that was helpful. No, how did I get here? Why am I here? As in, what can I do about it? If I am here, there is something I can do. That's the why. Why am I here? If I'm here, there's something I can do. So for our community, Bridge City, our purpose is to be a better way to connect. That's our reason for being here. If I'm going to be here, I'm going to try to be a better way to connect. You know, as an individual, I've determined that my personal assignment is multi-purpose. Can you sit in that? I'm like, when people say I'm just struggling to find my purpose, I'm like, if I was looking, I'd be in a hot mess, because for mine, it ain't just one. I'm a multi-purpose individual. I kind of feel that most people are multi-purpose, but they've trapped themselves into a singular identity. You know? Yeah. Huh. I don't know what that is. All right. So as an individual, I've determined that my personal assignment is multi-purpose. My personal reason for being here is expansively defined as to be able to do something about anything that impacts my life, my desires, and my goals. That's my purpose. To be able to do something about anything that impacts my life, my desires, and my goals. My purpose, are you ready? Is to be able to do something. That's my multi-purpose. And that's why my purpose is multi-purpose, because there's a lot of some things I can do. And so, like, literally when 2017 hit in my life, I went deep diving in that for real. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, how many things can I do after living my life in religious bullshit for damn near 28 years. I'm like, no, what can I do with my time. In the words of, what was it, Maxine Waters, reclaiming my time. And so I started reclaiming my time. So I started learning how to computer code. I learned how to code. I learned like 4 base languages, and I was like, oh, this is something I can do. And then I started taking a whole bunch of micro courses. So I got my certification in project management. I got my certification in data analytics. I got my certification in programming as well. I got my certification in leadership and communication, which of course that one was a little bit easier because my degree was in this stuff too. But I'm just going forward because at that moment, I'm trying to realize how much stuff can I do that impacts my life, my desires, and my goal. When I published my first book, I had been writing for years. I had been writing at that moment for at least 2 decades. I've been writing since I was a little boy. I've been writing for years, but when I published my first book, it was only because I was publishing it for me. Come on now. Good for you, Captain. Let's go. And like, so when I decided, like, I'm doing this because this is something I can do that impacts my desires. I desire to write a book. It doesn't matter if anybody else is going to buy that book to me. This is just my first book. It doesn't matter if anybody else is going to like that content. It was my first book. I'm going to write it and I'm going to put it out there because it's what I wanted to do. And this was my first time really beginning to wrestle with my purpose as a self-assigned thing and not something that has to be handed down from a mentor or a magician. Like, no, I'm not waiting for a sign to say this is the right thing to do. I have the capacity to do it. I have the interest to do it. I have the opportunity to do it, and I have the desire to do it. It's going to be on my purpose menu today. Oh, I hope this is helping somebody. Yeah, I have the capacity, I have the interest, I have the opportunity, and I have the desire. It's on my purpose menu today. That's how purpose works for me. My purpose every day is to wake up and do something about anything that impacts my life, my desires, and my goals. And lucky for me, I have some pretty big goals. But like, no, that's what I'm here for. In a world of bystanders and runaways, I want to be a reminder that fighting forward is always an option. It's always an option. So the second question is, why am I here? You know, like, and I want to make sure I'm making sense of what that means. You know, when you say, why am I here? It's what can I do about it? That's what that why is. Like, I need you to hear that, like you're hanging out with your, like you're maybe you're with your best friend and your best friend's car has just broke down and they are pushing their car on the highway and you're standing on the side of the road talking about your day, and then your friend looks at you with sweat dripping down their brow and says, why are you here? That's the why are you here? And that's the you sitting, bro, you pushing that truck, you pushing that car all by yourself, and ain't nobody gonna do anything about it, and ain't nobody gonna help you. Ain't nobody even stopped to ask us if we need any help. And I just can't believe it. And then they finally look at you. Why are you here then? If you see that they're being unhelpful and you here and you're not gonna help, that's that why are you here? So with everything that you see wrong with the world, and if you see it, it's because it's important to you for whatever reason. If you see it, it's because you're paying attention to it. Oh, let me say that again. If you see it, it's because you're paying attention to it. And so if you're paying attention to it, a good place to shift to, okay, what can I do about it? Why am I here? Why am I here? Man, I'm glad this is helpful, y'all. Captain, you a fool. I'm here to watch you push. I came for the show. I'm glad this is helpful. Yes. Yeah. So why am I here? Second one, these are all purpose questions. What gives our lives significance? Make it personal. What gives my life significance? Significance doesn't necessarily mean grandiosity. The book I was just talking about, the first book that I ever wrote, or that I ever published, not the first book that I wrote, but the first book that I ever published was called Significant. And actually, when I started writing the book, it was called Insignificant. And I'm going to Amazon now to find it, just to show it, because I do a horrible job of plugging my stuff. I don't. And it's not even because I don't want to sell books. No, I want to sell all my stuff. I want all my stuff to sell. I want to be successful. Honestly, I'm not even gonna say it's just because I'm so humble. No, if I had a greater bandwidth, every time y'all see me, I'd be like, this is my book, Insignificant. If you want to change your life today, get this thing, and you're, like I'd selling my books. But no, when I wrote this book, I initially titled it Insignificant. And that was because that's how I felt. That was how I felt in life, that I was insignificant. So there it is on Amazon. You can see it. It is available. If you have Kindle, you can get it for free. But you can also see all of my books there. I'm using the wrong mouse. But that book was really me wrestling with my own personal sense of significance. I don't know what Lulu is. I got to figure it out. But it was me wrestling with my personal sense of significance. Like, how did what was going on? And it was that book was therapeutic for me. I grew up my whole life not having my own bedroom for the most part. I think maybe 3 times in 18 years did I have a bedroom that was temporarily dedicated to me. But by far and large, and it wasn't a situation where like, oh, you grew up in a big household, so you're sharing with your brothers and sisters and cousins and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I grew up in a dysfunctional family, so I'm sharing them with strangers, who my mother's hanging out with, type of thing. And so these things had long-lasting impacts on my psychology and my mentality, and just how I saw myself in the world, which struggled with my own personal sense of significance, because then I lived a whole life really feeling, watch this, dispensable and disposable, because nothing existed for me. No house that I lived in was this my room before I got there. That may not be a big deal for you, but I realized that stuff impacted me. So a major part of that comes out of that book. And so I said all of that to say, when I say what gives our life significance, I'm not necessarily talking about grandiosity. I'm talking about finding small, consistent ways to create value that matters to you. My writing matters to me. The content I produce, it matters to me. That's why I do what I want to do. Like, people are showing up and they're like, well, I really think you should do this. Oh, I do not run my thoughts through you, but you are more than welcome to do whatever works for you. And that's how this works. We're breaking away from that thing of trying to live our purpose vicariously through other people. It's not, you're going to live your purpose for you. As I say, I'm ribbed for my pleasure, not yours. All of this ribbon, this is for me to enjoy. But I just don't like when he make them different voices. Oh, I make them for me. I like when I make different voices. See, you didn't grow up on Living Single, so you never met Kyle Barker. And sometimes Kyle Barker would just be talking like this, but then he'd go down here. I like Kyle Barker. You're not going to make me stop doing Kyle Barker. You're not going to make me stop doing Kyle Barker. I like Kyle. But he's a character in a show called Living Single. He was a stockbroker, had dreads, really cool guy. And he sang. All right. So it's what gives our lives significance. And so for some, this might look like personal growth. So I knew somebody was going to catch Living Single out there. While for others, it's contributing to community well-being. For me, it's a little bit of both. Like, oh man, personal growth has become major for me. And then here's a question that I want to sit with. What is the difference between finding purpose and creating it? Well, some people believe that purpose is a discovery. I kind of take the alternate perspective that purpose can be consciously chosen and cultivated over time. This resonates with our mission to build community that is beyond superstition and is rooted in a practical approach to life and growth. I don't think there's really anybody living with purpose, living without purpose. I think everybody's living with purpose, especially if we're defining purpose as what you do with your time, then I think everybody is technically living with purpose. A hammer doesn't lose its purpose because it's not being useful. You know what I'm saying? It don't lose its purpose. The hammer, it still has that purpose. It still has that capacity. Like you still have, no matter where you are in life, no matter what your life looks like right now, no matter what you feel like, you still have capacity. You still have opportunity. You still have interest, and you still have desires. So your purpose is there. You just may not be serving it, or it may not be serving you. Because the truth of the matter is sometimes we choose purposes that are not great for us, not for everybody. But no, I chose a purpose for my life at one time that was not great for me. But you know the crazy thing about that though, is within it, I kind of found something that's like, this kind of fits me really well. I think this is who I enjoy being. I think this might be my reason for the ride. You know? Oh, I love that. It's like you can almost imagine purpose like going to Universal Studios. That's one of my favorite amusement parks. I love Universal. I love it. I love it. I don't like Disney. I've never been to Disney, but I don't like it. It just doesn't seem like my jam. But Universal Studios, I've been a few times. It's been a long time. So if anybody wants to pay for me and my family to go and skip the lines, I'm down. Even if it's November when it's kind of raining a little bit, I'm down. But no, I love Universal Studios. I think purpose to me is kind of like taking a group trip to Universal Studios. We all show up together in the park, but we're not all going to necessarily ride the same things. And nobody necessarily chooses those rides for us. It's based on what is available, what's present, and what we're interested in. And of course, our capacity, like can't be over a certain weight for some rides, can't be under a certain height. Rides are really ableist. You know that? Now let me stop. I'm not going to make that joke. I think I already did, but you get it. So the point is, I think purpose is kind of like that amusement park. Like life is the amusement park. Purpose is what you decide to do with your time while you're at the park. Some people's purpose is going to go ride the Incredible Hulk. I have high blood pressure, so I ain't got time for all of that. I'm going to the Spider-Man because it's a virtual ride. It's safer for me. All right, so let's get out of here. According to positive psychology, meaning in life is often derived from engagement in activities that connect us to something larger than ourselves. And I think religion gave you something that for all intents and purposes, for all measurable intents and purposes, that doesn't exist. And try to connect your purpose to that. And even the people who feel like, dang, I got some really good things from my religion. None of those things can you say you actually got from the imaginary sky fairy. All of those things you got from engaging with real people in real things. Now, that doesn't mean that you were never connected to something larger than yourself, but it just means something larger than yourself doesn't have to equal something that doesn't exist at all. It can actually be something much more present and measurable, you know? And in this case, like something that is, I just need something larger than me. Your family is larger than you. Your community is larger than you. There are plenty of ways to connect with something larger than you. Your passion and the other people that are drawn to your passion is larger than you. And honestly, those are the things that church world and the religious world often take advantage of. Are those things in our lives? By saying, oh, this is really God. And it's like, no, that's actually just community. Oh, you enjoy doing this because God is blessing you. No, I actually enjoy doing this because I'm a musician. And it's now being able to see those things. And then from a secular side, being able to apply those things in real life and build something for others that helps them connect with their purpose. All right. And so I think that's where I'm gonna end it. I got like 3 more pages of notes, but I went off so much and we're already at that hour and 30-minute mark. So I want to leave y'all with this. And this wasn't in my notes. This is brand new. So I need to write it down for me. Capacity, opportunity, interest, and what was the last one? Desire. All right. COID. That's a weird can't get the word right. Anachronism. That's time. Why are you doing that? Anagram? Nope, that's still not right. Neurospicy moment. But capacity, opportunity, interest, and desire. That's where purpose lives at. It lives at the end. It lives where my time intersects with my capacity, my opportunity, my interest, and my desires. Do I have the capacity to do something? Do I have the opportunity to do something? Do I have the interest to do something? And do I have the desire to do something? And that opportunity question is a very good one, because that's how you can keep people from hijacking your time, hijacking your purpose. So someone say, hey, I think we all need to be doing this right now. You got to ask yourself realistically, do I have the capacity? Acronym. Thank you so much. I was struggling with that and it was going to bother me. Thank you. Yeah. Do I have the capacity, and do I have the opportunity? Like where my life is and where this situation is, do I have the opportunity to get there? And if I don't, then like either I need to realize that this ain't my purpose for my time right now, like because I can't do anything with that, or I need to figure out how to get to that opportunity. And those are both viable options. Man, listen, y'all, I am so grateful that y'all were willing to spend your time with me today. I'm glad this has been just a helpful conversation for many of you. And I hope this keeps you grounded in life, helps you find things that make you happy. And just most importantly, and this is the thing that I was stressing just from the very beginning, I hope this is something that helps get people off the sidelines and into the world that we share, because we're all going to need it together. And so I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here for the day. I'm going to give y'all some closing music. Let's get some jalapenos so everybody spirits can be lifted. But I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for supporting this channel. Thank you for supporting the community. If you're not a part of our community at Bridge City, what are you waiting for? Get over there. Let me throw that link on the screen. Join. Yeah. This is from our headcanon. Isn't that graphic dope, y'all? Headcanon. But if you're looking for a community where we're having conversations like this and we're building in a grounded way, join our community today, bridgecity.app/hello. Follow those prompts. Introduce yourself. Complete our tap in and our new member onboarding course and jump into the conversation. We are looking for people just like you to help us continue to build bridges to better. Because listen, and Jude, I don't know if she's still in the chat. I know she had to go, but she'll tell you it's a lot of work. We need more people because this is real work. And the thing is, and when I say real work, I'm going to say this and I'm going to go. When I say real work, it isn't just the work that I have planned, right? Because I got a lot of work planned too. But as people join the community, and get excited about things. There are things that they want to see in the community, there are things that they want to happen in the community. And that's why we need more people to make those things happen. Because when that capacity, opportunity, interest, and desire starts intersecting, people start seeing possibilities. Oh, that's so good. Like when people start getting tied into purpose, they start seeing possibilities. And we need you to help continue to build out these possibilities. That's all I have for now, y'all. Until next time, keep rising.
LaMar, jalapeno, jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. You were singing on my jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Yeah, we are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking